title, her eyes were the color of small potatoes. Written by Me Too Des. Inosuke was going in and out of consciousness the whole time during the cleanup of Mount Natagumo. When Nakakoshi brought him down from the tree, that's when he began to hear the conversations around him and the hurried footsteps of strangers. Gentle on him, please. He hears a girl's voice next to him, feeling her gentle hands tending to his wounds, cleaning his cuts with some type of ointment that left a stinging sensation. The boy was too tuckered out from the fight to even move, and his throat hurt too much to talk. If he had been slightly less serious condition, Inosuke would have yelled and hit whoever laid their hands on him, as if he needs help from others. He's strong. Broken bones and deep cuts won't make him less of it, but after failing to kill that spider demon, he doesn't think so anymore. The girl ordered someone to fetch him medicine before turning to her attention back to him. He could feel her hands reach up for the mask hesitantly. If you don't mind, I'm going to remove it. I'll put it back on after you drink some of this, okay? Her voice was as gentle as her hands, making him feel warm from the inside. She reminded him of that old woman from the Wisteria place. She made him feel at ease and surrender under her care. He kinda hated it, actually. The cold air suddenly hit his face as soon as his mask was removed. The darkness from beneath it was replaced by the light peeking through the trees as dawn came. It hurt his eyes, his vision blurry from extreme exhaustion as it slowly came upon him. "Oh." Inosuke's voice guttural and low. He was in shock what he saw before him. "Wow," he barely heard the girl say under her breath. Though it was just one word, his throat hurt like hell, causing him to go into a bloody coughing fit. The girl panicked, quickly removing the cork from a bottle she was recently given and bringing it to his lips. She urged him to drink. "Drink this. It'll take the pain away." Inosuke couldn't help but look at her eyes as he drank. They were just so damn pretty. As blurry as his vision was, they were clear as day to him, and they were the last thing he saw before he fell out of consciousness. When Inosuke woke, he found himself in bed under a different girl's care. He was disappointed. And even more so when he was stuck with hearing Zenitsu's cries and complaints for who knows how long. All that he could think of was that girl's eyes. So as soon as he was all better, he ran around the butterfly estate and bothered everyone about the identity of the girl he saw. No one could help him with the information he provided of the girl, as much as they wanted to, only for him to stop causing so much ruckus around the mansion. They just couldn't, because honestly, how could they? He grabbed hold of Zenitsu's shoulder and shook him violently as he screamed out in frustration. "How could you not know her? You can't miss those eyes." I don't know what you mean by that, man," the poor blonde cried, begging Tanjiro to help him out. The burgundy-haired placed a hand on the masked boy's arm and asked, "Can you describe her again, Inosuke? You said she was a demon slayer." "Yeah." Tanjiro's only seen Kakoshi running around the estate, and the female demon slayers he's seen around didn't really match the description Inosuke said before. "And you said..." Tanjiro trailed off. Inosuke yelled. "Her eyes were the color of small potatoes." Frustrated with the only information they were given, Zenitsu screamed, "What makes you think we can find a girl with that description? What the hell do you mean by small potatoes?" "To be honest with you, Inosuke, I don't think we can help you with that information. Plus, potatoes comes in a variety of colors." Tanjiro laughed lightly, scratching the back of his head. The trio ended up in the Butterfly Estate's kitchen, rummaging through a basket and laying out just 4 different types of colored potatoes: dark purple, red, brown, and tan. The two who had no clue stood in silence, waiting for Inosuke to pick out which of the potatoes matched the color of the mystery girl's eyes. Tanjiro spoke. "This isn't all of the colors potatoes come in, but this is all they have." Inosuke placed a hand on his chin and thought long and hard before grabbing the brown potato and literally shoved it in Zenitsu's face. "This one. Not close, but it's this kind of potato. You don't have to shove it in my face, you pig. That hurts." "So, brown, huh?" With that new information, The two boys took note and would try to find the demon slayer whose eyes were the color of small brown potatoes as they went on with their days. They don't know why Inosuke was so interested in this girl, but they wanted to help their friend out. Then Tanjiro's extra training with Naho, Kiyo, and Sumi came along, the three girls cheering him on to break the largest and final gird of his training. The girls' cheers caught the passerby's attention, making them come over to see what's going outside of the Engawa. What's happening, girls? A girl in a colorful and jewel-embellished haori approached the trio, eyeing Tanjiro curiously, who was too busy and focused to notice her presence. They explained that he was among the demon slayers from Mount Natagumo, now going through Shinobu's rehabilitation training. "We're helping Tanjiro out with some extra training, YN," Kiyo explained. Wayan grimaced at the mention of rehabilitation training as she also had to undergo through it recently, after a rough mission with the sound pillar. The fact that the boys still wanted to train more right after, that piqued her interest, joining the girls. They all watched Tanjiro as he blew into the cord with all his strength, celebrating when it finally bursted. "I did it! I broke the gourd!" The trio gathered around him, cheering and praising him before they introduced YN. Tanjiro turned his head to the girl who stood to the side with a smile on her face. Then he noticed her eyes. Now he knew what Inosuke meant when he said no one could miss it if they had stared into them. The long lashes framed their eyes and curled outwards, a purple dot under each eye accentuated the golden brown color of her orbs. "You were the small potatoes!" Tanjiro gasped. Wine cocked her head to the side, quite confused of what he just said. Small potatoes? YN is the sound Tsukuko, Naho quick to correct Tanjiro. "Please respect her and don't call her names such as small potatoes." He waved it off and laughed. "Oh please, I've only recently become one. I don't need to be treated with that much respect. If anything, Tanjiro has all of my respect with that I've been hearing from everyone." Tanjiro bowed. "It's really nice to meet you, YN. But please, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine." Sumi soon realized what Tanjiro meant when he called her small potatoes. Remembering how the boar-headed boy kept bothering everyone in the butterfly estate to look for the girl whose eyes were the color of small potatoes. "Oh my, yes, someone has been wanting to meet you, but you've been so busy with mission, we couldn't really find you." "Not really. We couldn't have found her with just small potatoes as the description," Kiyo mumbled, finding out YN was who Inosuke was looking for the whole time. YN crossed her arms and pouted. "Do I look like small potatoes to this person? I am quite offended. I've been thought to look as flamboyant as Tengen." No, you don't!" all four of them exclaimed. Inosuke and Zenitsu returned from their hiding place before dusk, walking through the halls of the mansion and to the Engawa where their dinner was prepared. Tanjiro had already settled himself in front of his tray, waiting for his friends to come so they can start dinner. "Who's eating with us?" Zenitsu asked, noticing that there were 4 trays in all. He sat himself next to Tanjiro. Inosuke sat across from his burgundy-haired friend, digging into his food already. "Whatever, if they don't come, I'm taking their tempura." But he didn't wait, stealing 1 shrimp tempura and placing it on his plate, saving it for last. "YN will be here soon. And put that back, Inosuke. She just came back from a mission. I'm sure she's starved." Right as he mentioned her, the shoji slid slowly open, with YN's back facing them. The boys heard Shinobu's voice in the background, telling the incoming visitor to discuss the information about the mission later after dinner. "Okay, I will." Inosuke's head quickly turned to the sound of the familiar voice. He didn't remember the color of her hair or the design of her haori, so it didn't help just seeing her back. He needed her to turn around. "Just sit tight and wait for Tengen, okay?" they heard Shinobu say. "Yeah, he'll definitely need me on this one. You go on and eat dinner with Tanjiro and the others." Then, YN turned and greeted her new friends as she walked over to them before saying hello to Zenitsu and then to Inosuke, who she remembered tending to his wounds back in Mount Natagumo. She gasped, "Oh my gosh, it's the pretty boy!" Zenitsu choked on his rice and nudged the boy next him when he saw her eyes. "Her eyes, Tanjiro! They're small potatoes!" "Small potatoes again, huh? I don't know what you all meant by that." You giggled, turning to Inosuke. She asked, "Is this your doing?" This whole time, Inosuke had been staring at her. He only remembered her eyes, and now that he's actually seeing her with clear vision, he was mesmerized. Seeing that he was speechless, Wayan furrowed her brows and frowned. Has your throat not healed up yet? Is that why you can talk? Well, would you look at that? Zenitsu snickered, earning himself a glare from the green-eyed boy. Flustered, Inosuke picked up his chopsticks and returned the shrimp tempura he stole from her tray and yelled, Shut up and eat already. You're making me feel all giddy. Wayan blinked at him and smiled. Okay, pretty boy. I'm happy you're all better. Stop it! Over dinner, Tanjiro had to explain the story behind small potatoes, unintentionally embarrassing Inosuke as he continued to expose him. Wayan laughed at the story of how they ended up in the kitchen with the potatoes, tears streaming down her face. This is the first time in my life hearing someone compared my eyes to small potatoes. She wiped at her tears and turned to Inosuke, who refused to look at her. Do you not like what I said about your eyes? Is it that funny? Wayan shook her head, seeing through his mask and noticing his insecurity about the current subject. No, Inosuke. In fact, this is the first time the color of my eyes were compared to something. Brown is quite plain and common, you know. They're often compared to literal shit, so I find it ugly and often wish I had beautiful eyes like yours. Green like jade and emerald? Tanjiro frowned. What makes you think brown is an ugly color? Your eyes are a pretty brown color, YN. Zenitsu complimented her. That's right, Inosuke agreed loudly. Brown is the color of the wilderness. It's the color of the firewood that starts a fire and warm people who are freezing their asses off. It's the color of the bark of the trees that people often overlook and instead just look at the stupid pink flowers on the top. They ignore the brown things below that supports it all, but I don't. I see it and pig attack it. It's the colors of acorns I collect and throw at bastards like Zenitsu. Both Tanjiro and Zenitsu were in disbelief while YN was flustered. Inosuke continued, And you said that brown is the color of shit? Well, you know what? They are. But people use shit as fertilizer and they help plants grow, crops rich, and make life, so I don't know what the hell you are talking about brown being a stupid color. Is it possible to be violently poetic? I didn't think you had it in you, Inosuke. Owen dropped her chopstick, finding herself speechless this time. She stuttered. I don't know what to say. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Just shut up and eat. You're making me feel giddy. It's annoying. Okay,